What's good, family? Welcome to a Modern Hoops podcast, show the fresh opinions and views on the world's most beautiful game. I'm your host, Greg, and I'm here with the homies, the squad, Dunkman Keith and TK. Brian's not here. He has a sore throat. That's what he gets. That's what he gets for yelling at refs all day. That's what he gets, you know.
Or his players.
Mm-hmm. We don't know. It could be both.
I know.
We know.
It could be both.
I know. Hey, coaches have some rough weekends. I can completely understand it, man. If you played any kind of competitive sport, you understand that it's gonna be some times where your coach loses their voice because of the way y'all played.
You know what? You know what's funny? Coaches be losing it, and I've learned this a little bit. Coaches be losing it because they want to go out there so bad.
Oh, for sure.
And show you. You're
It's
not
simple.
running my play
It's
right.
simple, yeah.
Like, why can't you get this right? We've talked about this 30 times. Like, you always miss that cut. Why are you always getting backdoored?
Nah, I think those are the worst coaches, like, for especially like younger kids to have, are the coaches that can do it themselves still. Like, that's that could destroy your confidence as a young teenager. It's just like, no, I want you to jab like this and finish like this. Sir, I can't windmill. Like, like you played pro overseas. Like, I'm in 7th grade, but
Nah, for real. That dude get me.
12.
yeah, I'm 12, sir.
We got a good show for y'all today. We're going to talk about some of the hot things around the league. And we appreciate y'all for watching and listening wherever you are, whether you're watching on YouTube or listening on Apple, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Stitcher for all to my Stitchers. Shout out to y'all. We appreciate y'all. Like the show, rate the show, download the episode. If you're listening, comment below. We appreciate all that. The comments on the last episode, I didn't know.
I've been saying it for years.
I've
never been wrong.
I didn't know Minnesota was gonna get a rise out of y'all. Y'all acted up in the comments on Instagram. So if y'all want to follow us on Instagram where we post all of our clips, y'all can show us love there and y'all can jump in the conversation with us. You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
You ready? All right, man. First things up. We're gonna talk about your Lakers, man.
Yeah.
We'll talk about your Lakers.
Yeah, my Lakers.
How do you feel being a Lakers fan these days?
False hope. That's all it is. Like, did you realize a couple of weeks ago, it kind of was the air of, well, this season is just up in flames. So we all start settling, stop talking about the Lakers as much, been chilling out, just like, you know what? It's not even worth it anymore.
But then
Anthony Davis decides to be Anthony Davis, and now everybody's like, "Oh, maybe we could flip Russell Westbrook for DeMar DeRozan and Vucevic." And I'm getting tired of this. That's all it is. It's exhausting.
Yeah.
It's nice to watch just as a fan, especially see Anthony Davis play like Anthony Davis is supposed to be playing.
Yeah.
And nobody really ever disrespects his capabilities. We always say that his worst ability was his availability.
Yeah.
It wasn't anything he could do on the court. It was being on the court was the biggest issue. So the fact that he's on the court, you can see that he's taking the Lakers to another tier, which I don't want to insult that. It's not saying much. I'm not saying championship tier.
Yeah.
I'm just saying like, might win the play-in now.
A little more competitive.
Yeah, might
a little
might
more
be able to get a
competitive.
playoff series in now instead of getting kicked off in the play-in. So that's the way I'm seeing it and the way it's sitting with me. It's been really nice to watch, especially him being at that top level. Specifically that Bucks game.
That was a good game.
Yeah, because if you've been following basketball for a while, like we have when Anthony Davis first came in the league and his first couple of years with the Pelicans, there was the air that eventually he was going to be the best player in the league.
Right.
There were actually conversations I had with League about is skipping Kevin Durant. Obviously, it was LeBron James during that time, but skipping Kevin Durant and then going straight to Anthony Davis. That's just how much potential and talent that everybody saw in him. Yeah. So the fact that he can have a battle that he did with Giannis and can seemingly move past the health issues that he's been having has been extremely encouraging, especially for the future of the Lakers. Just being able to see a stretch like this, a performance like this, and these games actually result in wins. Like you didn't put up 44-10 against the Bucks and and lose. It wasn't like the numbers were for nothing.
Right.
And y'all got blown out by 17. No, this is how you win games, especially being a premier franchise cornerstone type of player. So that's the best thing I've said about the Lakers in a while.
Long time.
But it only means so much, and I think that's really the issue.
Go.
It's
There we go.
because
Back down to earth.
because everybody else is gonna get super hyped. Like, oh, if Anthony Davis plays like this and LeBron James gets back healthy, and if we could just move Russell Westbrook for the sun and the moon, because that's always the topic.
Yeah.
It's as soon as LeBron and AD look like they can click or look like superstars. It's these BS scenarios about moving
Russ.
a 46, $7 million player
Yep.
Yeah.
that's out of his prime.
Yeah.
And that many teams don't necessarily see a use for, specifically at that price tag. So
Even at
why
that
are we
position.
imagining this? Like, I think that's the infuriating part. Lakers playing good, thumbs up. But Lakers playing good means random crazy trade scenarios that you'll have to deal with for the next week or two, or until they run into another bad kind of stint. So
That's the fandom. That's the fandom of Laker fans, and I at some point we have to concede that, right?
no, Merle, that's the fandom
we
of
have to-
Bron fans. We have to stop doing that. Like, you've known me since 5th grade. I've never pulled random trade scenarios after a 3 or 4 game losing stretch. I've never, ever in my life, ever. You saw me cool with us losing when it was just D'Lo and
Yeah.
Jordan Clarkson and things like that. I was cool. It was organic. It was authentic.
Yeah.
Bro, I'm tired. I'm tired. Like that's what I'm not cool with. Like if the Lakers winning means dealing with the Bron side of the fandom trying to expedite things or trying to finesse the trade market and system, how it always happens, then I'm cool with losing a couple more games, man. It ain't like we're gonna really win anything in the playoffs anyway. So this is nice to see, and the competitiveness in me like really is infuriated with myself for saying that, but this is nasty. I'm so sick of seeing the random trade scenarios.
I can agree with that. But I really do think it's the nature of that space right now.
It is.
And it's the nature of that space, and so I've kind of accepted it. I don't get too mad about it. But you spoke to a few things, and one thing that I did want to call out that you spoke to that I really appreciate was the fact that Anthony Davis played in a game against another marquee big, and he got the win.
You got the win.
He played really well and got the win. And so, while I do want to focus more on AD because I agree with you, the Lakers aren't winning anything. like we're not gonna waste our time.
We're not gonna
We're
go through.
not gonna waste our time with this. But I do think Anthony Davis playing this way is a redeemable quality
for sure.
But my question is this a sustainable quality? Like, can he sustain this level of play?
That's always the biggest question.
For 3 years.
Yeah, I was about
For
to
3
say.
years. For the next 3 years. Because that's the question that Laker execs and front office, Darvin Ham, even Bron to some extent, are asking themselves. Because this version of Anthony Davis can lead a team.
Yeah, for sure. To a championship.
Can lead a team and be the centerpiece of a team.
100%.
Maybe not the most vocal or whatever. I don't know his
This
actual
version of
leadership
Anthony
qualities.
Davis can be whatever he decides he wants to be.
I agree with that. Like over the last, let me get his stats up real quick. Over the last 5 games, right now he's averaging 27, 12, and 2.5 blocks. Really 13 rebounds. I said reboards, crazy. But over the last 5, he's averaging 32 points, 14 boards, a steal, and 4 blocks, nearly 4 blocks a game. Like he's also had 5 double doubles in each of those games. So he's balling right now.
Yeah.
I think this is the best version of AD we've seen probably since the bubble.
No, since 2020 bubble, yeah.
So,
but granted, this is also possibly the healthiest we've seen AD in a long stretch. So it goes hand in hand. The frustrating part about Anthony Davis is you don't want to continuously blame the injuries, but that's the only thing you could really point to when it comes to Anthony Davis. I don't have a question about his talent and actual ability on the court.
Yeah.
But just getting on the court. Now, as far as your question of sustaining it for 3 years,
I'm not gonna lie, and just not to cut you off, but there was a moment where I looked at Anthony Davis and I was like, I like him in every game that does not have another big that we consider.
I can't agree to that.
Like there was a moment.
It was a moment he
and part of me still feels that way. I mean, even though he played really great versus Giannis, and that's probably one of the first times I was like, oh shoot, like he is going at him, shot for shot, play for play with this. They're going at it right now.
Yeah.
But over the last couple of years, I've looked at him and been like, he has not shown up for every marquee matchup he's had.
Mm-mm.
And this was one of the moments I was like, oh, he's here. He's locked in and he's attacking. Like he is asserting himself throughout this entire game. Bron's on the floor. Russ is on the floor. But I'm asserting myself as the guy for the Lakers right now. And I think I appreciated that. I think I did. I appreciated that. And so that's the sustainability factor. Yes, can he put up 27 and 10 on the Spurs? Okay. Cool.
Yeah, whatever.
Like, whatever. Can he do that versus the Jokic's, versus the Embiid, versus the Giannis's? Can he do that versus those matchups?
I think he's showing in this last stretch that he's a little bit more willing to, in terms of like mentality, to go at it, make it more of his team. And I think it was easier for him to begin that kind of mentality of this stretch on this run because LeBron James was out.
Yeah.
Like we have to remind ourselves, like when Anthony Davis started playing extremely well this season, it was when LeBron James went down for a few games. That's when Russell Westbrook started playing well as well. Yeah. So we can make that a whole nother topic of conversation about about the success and the flourishing of players in that LA system when LeBron James is not on the floor.
Yeah.
But that's not the topic right now. I ain't gonna take that shot. So
we can talk about it. I mean,
but the only thing in terms of Anthony Davis, it would just be continuing to do what he does or what he's been doing when LeBron James is actually on the floor. And it has happened in these last couple of games. They've shared the floor together. That LeBron has been back. So I'm not going to sit here and say that Anthony Davis is just like still giving all this leeway and not being assertive in terms of his own offensive dominance and supposing to be the Lakers' number one option. LeBron James played in that Bucks game we were just talking about. He took the same amount of shots as Anthony Davis. So it shows me that Anthony Davis, you're willing to take or at least tie LeBron James in shot attempts and field goal attempts. It's just mentality. I mean, you might hear it a couple of times throughout the league. There might be other players, other retired players, other analysts who may refer to it as like a little brother syndrome that Anthony Davis has. Maybe he looks at LeBron James as too much of this heralded figure of holding him to this pedestal of too much of I'm a fan of this guy, as to really hold LeBron accountable at times on the court. Mm-hmm. We saw it last week when Ben Simmons told Kevin Durant to dunk that. And it's hilarious. Ben Simmons telling somebody to do that, but Kevin Durant came out and said, and he was like, I love hearing that because it means that he's locked in. Yeah. Like the first thought wasn't, Ben Simmons, you can't tell me to dunk anything. Like, because that's most people's first thought is like, who are you talking to? Like, you can't tell me to do X, Y, and Z when you're blah, 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 whatever situation Ben was going through or is currently going through. But the excitement of locking in, focusing, being able to tell the best player on your team and holding them accountable. Yeah. It's things that I do want to see from Anthony Davis a little bit more in terms of like the interactions with LeBron James on court. I have no idea what happens in the locker room, off the court or whatever, but on the court, I can tell you I haven't seen anybody in LA hold LeBron accountable. Not a soul. Like, not a single person. Just me. Just me. So I don't know, man. That's a long-winded way of saying Anthony Davis is going to be fine. The Lakers' future seems to be fine as long as his health is going to be steady. But the bigger question and the more interesting question, in my opinion, is LeBron James's future with the Lakers and how does that affect everybody else's growth or stagnation?
I mean, we've seen this before with other all-time greats. Kind of happened with Kobe a bit. I think Anthony Davis, while we know how talented he is, there has been some level of stagnation in terms of him being the guy, the leader, because it's like we're just waiting for his turn.
Yeah.
And that turn, like you said, that turn
going
kind of
and taking it.
Right. That turn happened during a break for Bron. Like Bron's out. He can't play. And so now you're left with, okay, we have no choice but to feature this guy. Like, because no one else is going to object.
Yeah.
We know if Anthony Davis is being featured too much or there's any objections, Bron will have it and he will get his way. There's no objections now. We got Russell on the bench. You got who's on the floor? Lonnie Walker, Pat Bev. Who else?
Austin Reeves.
Austin Reeves.
The lineup.
Like no one on the floor.
Brown Jr.
No one on the floor can object to him getting the ball 40 times.
Yeah.
And taking 30 shots. No one can object.
Yeah.
Everyone knows LeBron can do that and will do that and will get his way 9 times out of 10.
Hey, honestly, after saying this roster out loud, like vocalizing it, this is awful. This is garbage. Like, this makes all the fans that want to flip anything to anything seem even more stupid than I thought. Like, think about what we just said. We said, yeah, because if LeBron James is on the floor, who is Anthony Davis really going to have to answer to? Troy Brown Jr., Pat Bev, Lonnie Walker, Thomas Bryant, Austin Reeves, Kendrick Nunn, Juan Toscano's not playing, but...
Yep. There's no objections. And so that stint where, like, you have, 5 games? Because I know they won their first 3 without Bron. They won, I think, like won 3 or 4 without Bron.
Yeah, I was about to say, I can't say the exact stretch.
That's where we missed Statman. Statman knows all. With his trusty, dusty computer.
Why I gotta be dusty?
The computer caught a stray.
Y'all seen it. Love you, B. But Statman knows all. He would know that stat. But no objections. And so with that, he's able to get his footing as the guy, all these touches, and just go out there and just hoop.
Yeah, fact.
Now he's gotten a rhythm. He's caught a rhythm. Russ has caught a rhythm on the bench. And LeBron is the one who has to insert himself and be a little more adjusting and be a little more understanding in terms of...
Has LeBron ever adjusted to anything? Now, granted, he's always been great enough where everything has to adjust to him.
Facts.
This is the first instance of his career, in my opinion, where it's not the case.
Yeah.
You are not good enough to make everything in this organization and everybody drop what they're doing to come work on whatever project you have pulled up. I think it's going to be time to reevaluate kind of role placement and things like that. Not to say that LeBron isn't an incredible basketball player and probably like a wonderful leader to have in the locker room. The weight of his decisions and the weight of him being LeBron shouldn't weigh as much now as it did maybe 2 years ago, 3 years ago. And that's no disrespect to him, like saying, oh, we don't care about like the back half of his career or don't listen to any of his suggestions or things like that. But what was happening in Cleveland per se, flipping a whole team right before the All-Star break and things like that shouldn't happen. Trading these picks away for something that doesn't make complete and perfect sense for our future shouldn't happen. Just to like, please, man, mind you, he's come out and said it. He don't give a damn about those picks. But that's what I mean. Yeah. We shouldn't actually go too far to appease him because that's just gonna leave you in the back end hurting.
Yeah.
So,
and I think a part of him is aware of that. And I think this success, even though we know this success has a clear, definite ceiling in terms of this roster.
For sure.
I think he looks at it and be like, you know what? Anthony Davis and me can get back to actually competing for something in a year or two.
Competing for something. Not competing what they want to compete
Not
for.
competing. I don't think Bron's getting another ring. I think I kind of said that once already.
No, I think LA kind of sunk themselves as soon as they signed Russell Westbrook.
Yeah,
I think they sunk themselves, and kind of like when LeBron pushed for that, he sunk himself in terms of getting another ring in his career. But like I said, that's a whole different.
But in terms of them being a top 3-4 seed, I think that's still possible.
They can be a second round team, maybe even flirt with a conference finals.
I think they can be a 4-5 seed in 3-4-5, and actually be. I ain't gonna say contender, but
they're a second round team.
You don't think so?
They're a second round team.
You don't think what you've seen out of Anthony Davis with the help of a lesser version of LeBron,
bro,
and actual pieces that fit,
and that's what it is. We always say actual pieces that fit. Like, we always just throw that together and scramble it like it's Legos, and you can just grab whatever in the bag and just make it connect. What actual pieces are there? Because that's the issue with LeBron teams is we'll just grab pieces that fit. Oh, we're just going to grab some shooters. Or we're just going to grab some defenders. And then we end up bumming it out. So, or we end up saying we're going to do that this time, though. Because we can't. That's the issue.
That's what I'm saying.
Let's just get some pieces that fit. How? Like, how? Like, nobody ever wants to say the actual, the journey to the solution. Like, this is what you need to do.
We don't have.
How do I do that?
We're not doing a 3 hour.
Just trade Russ, right?
Like, that's what we said.
This is not
you want Russ?
Huh?
Yeah, that's what everybody else say on the phone too, huh? So that's the thing that's getting me is we have all of this hope for the future with no actual plan, and nobody's sitting here and thinking like, what if that doesn't work out? Like, nobody's sitting here and saying, like, no, you're not going to be able to trade Russ this year. This year's still done. I don't care how. Yeah, this year's done. Now, when you get him off the books, we have to start asking ourselves, are we really even going to be able to recruit free agents how we thought we were going to be able to? And the correct ones? Because
I feel like that's still a door that can be accessed. I think the problem is, and while there are other teams, and I think you're going in this route where there are other teams with other great destinations that other people can play in, other good
great players,
other great organizations, other markets,
easier media to be around. I don't have to be under the shadow of LeBron James. I might not even want to be on LeBron James' team because a lot of people do not want to play with him, and a lot of it is not a negative thing in terms of his play style. It's more so of a challenge, like. Just don't want to be on the scene.
And I'm cool with that. I get that. I think a lot has factored in terms of just the roster construction and the situation they've been in the last 3 years, 2-3 years. I think that has had a lasting effect on their attractability to a lot of stars and a lot of players. You said this once to me before. You said Lakers can always get a star. Like, and
they can. They're just gonna have to do something that they don't want to do to get their next star here.
And I think LeBron and AD, and I know wiping the slate clean seems almost impossible when you have a contract like Russell Westbrook's. But wiping the slate clean and then coming back and being like, hey, we're getting back to championship basketball as best as possible. What those pieces look like. I think those pieces exist. I think those pieces are some expiring contracts they could explore at some point. And I think they could get those pieces. I think those pieces are because people like LA and people do want to don the purple and gold to some extent. And I think that has a lot to do with some of the past players that have done it. So I don't know. I'm not fully saying I don't think LeBron's getting a ring again. I think he's done, but I do think they could get back to a 4 or 5 seed. I think I spoke too high when I said 3, but they can get back to a 4 or 5 seed, and they could be like a middle of the road team that's playing good basketball and is worth watching on prime time. I really believe that.
As a Laker fan, all I heard was, yeah, y'all can get back to being mid.
Yeah, because y'all trash now.
Yeah. And that doesn't mean like mid is still bad as a Lakers fan.
I think, all right,
I agree with everything you said.
Here's the timeline.
I don't want that.
You don't want it, but here's the timeline. This is what I have. because the Lakers don't do rebuilds. You need to. I don't know why you think that. Y'all.
I know we don't do rebuilds. So that's what I'm saying.
So
the real option for what I would want, you would have to take that step and figure out when's the earliest Bron can leave.
Facts, and I agree with that. So when's the earliest Bron can leave? When does he retire? Because he's not leaving until he retires. So he'll retire.
He ain't retiring until he play with both of his kids. Apparently,
I'm put out there. He might play with one. So
which one? Yeah,
all right.
Yeah,
you got it.
Yeah,
you got it. But he'll play with one. The other, then he'll retire. Then you have this stint where shucks, you know what?
Yeah, we talking about like 9 years now, bro. 50.
80's done. All right. Let's move on. Next topic. Next topic.
It's a long time.
That's a long time.
I'm not trying to be cynical, man. It's just the Lakers are bums.
Oh man, that's tough.
They just put like icing on it this week.
Thoughts and prayers to the Lakers fans, man.
No, don't waste your prayers.
Thoughts and prayers.
Do not waste your prayers.
All right. Let's move on. Boston, 18-5 this season. They're playing I think some of their best basketball that in the last 2 years. I think they're playing better than they did last season. Last year they were more heavily focused with Ime Udoka on the defensive end. I think last season they rated top 5 in defensive rating, if I'm correct. Let me look that up. Yeah, they were second in defensive rating last season, 7th in offensive rating last season. This year they're number 1 offensive rating, I believe. And then they are 16th in defensive. But being the first rated offense this year has done tremendous things for the team. Bringing in Malcolm Brogdon as well. But Tatum is having an MVP season. We've seen Jaylen Brown turn into the true number 2, but he's an all-star. Like, this is not a slight to him at all. They look like the best duo in NBA right now. And then the supporting cast between Marcus Smart as Defensive Player of the Year, former Defensive Player of the Year, Malcolm Brogdon off the bench, Al Horford, Grant Williams. Go across the line. This is a good basketball team, and they look like the best team in the NBA. But do you think that?
As of right now, they're the best team in the NBA. I think it'll be really unfair to give it to another team.
Mm-hmm.
They might not end the season as the best team in the NBA simply because I am really curious. To watch the Bucks when Chris Middleton comes back fully healthy, and get his games in and get his legs under him.
Yeah.
But as of right now, as we're speaking, yes, they are the best team in the NBA. I think it's hands down. And I think the difference between them being a 1 seed in their conference and the parallel 1 seed in the West is that the West 1 seed is fraudulent. Nobody really believes in the Suns in terms of winning an NBA championship.
So Devin Booker taking that step without Chris Paul has not shown us.
Shout out D Book. I'm not disrespecting Devin Booker. I said the Suns. I have a whole lot of praise for Devin Booker, and I'll bring it up later. But I'm just taking my shot at the Suns real quick.
Okay, I'm listening.
Yeah. So with the Celtics being at the top of the conference, is somewhere. Well, we expected them to be that 1 through 3 third seed, coming back off of their finals appearance, losing their head coach, but Tatum having that monster start to the season.
Yeah,
they're the best team in the NBA right now. I don't think that's unfair to say.
Yeah, I'm on that boat. I'm on that boat too. I knew they were going to come in strong this season. I didn't know it was going to look like this, though. Offensively, Joe Mazzulla has some clicking on that side of the ball for whatever reason. And while I did say the defensive rating, they're at 16th right now. What I did omit that I forgot to bring up is Rob Williams is out.
Yeah.
He's not playing at all.
Defensive anchor.
So because of that, that's your rim protector on most nights. Every night, essentially. Every night when he's on the floor, that's your rim protector. They don't have that right now. So, number 1 rated offense and number 16 without him, I'm going to say they moved to top 10 with him.
Yeah.
Easily. So, because of that, I don't know. The question is, the biggest threat for me, or who is that big threat right now, would be the Bucks. I think that's all of NBA so far. I think time will tell in terms of what Golden State turns into, because I'm not ready to jump off the boat until they don't get back to the NBA Finals.
Yeah, but if we're doing it as of right now.
As of right now, I gotta go Bucks.
I think you have to have your eyes sewn shut if you say any other team than like the Celtics being the premier like best team in the NBA right now, and the other team that's coming close to it right now, in my opinion, are the Milwaukee Bucks.
Now, I don't know how real this is, but I've been hearing a lot of conversations about Grant Williams and trade talks.
I've been hearing that as well.
I think that's a bad move to move him.
I think it's unnecessary as well.
I think it's a bad move. If it's clicking, it's clicking.
Yeah.
Like, I don't, and
I don't see what
I've heard Miami's targeting them. I've heard a lot of teams trying to target him. But my question is, what are y'all trying to give me for this target? Like, because I know Grant Williams is going to get a huge contract, and Boston's going to have to make a decision in terms of are they going to match or not. But I think we keep for this year, let him rock out before we trade him and take our chances at trying to get this ring, as opposed to moving him and then, I don't know, you could play with the chemistry a bit, because I think he plays a key part to the rotation.
100%, yeah.
And I don't know, I just wouldn't move him. He's kind of like their PJ Tucker.
Yeah, no, honestly. Like a Draymond off the bench. I mean, not as good, but
at least he can shoot from the corner.
At least he can shoot from the corner. I mean, yeah, no, that's factual though. That's actually,
and that's not saying that Grant Williams is better than Draymond. I didn't say that. I just said Grant can shoot from the corner and Draymond can't. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, Grant is shooting 45% from three this year. Like, you said a factual statement. It's not a shot at all.
No, I just know people heard that. I said at least he can shoot from the corner. People are gonna assume I'm saying Grant is a better player than Draymond.
They can shut up if they if they took it like that.
But yeah, I don't know. I think they're the best team in the NBA right now. I think Jason Tatum is the MVP so far. I think this team looks a lot better than even I expected, because I did have them being the 1 seed at the end of the year, but they look better on the offensive end than I expected. Mm-hmm. I thought they would still be just this defensive team. Jason Tatum will elevate, but all around the board, this team makes sense. All around the board, this team is flowing and clicking, and it doesn't feel like. And I think that's the thing I look for when I'm watching games. How does everyone look on the court? You know, how do they feel cohesive?
Do I know my place? Am I rotating correctly?
Everything clicks. They brought Malcolm Brogdon. Everything clicks. Yeah, he's getting 20 off the bench some nights.
Nah, but he was arguably the best pickup in free over the summer that we had.
I think we had mentioned that, and because of that, like the fact that no one feels out of place, no one feels like they're deferring, quote unquote. You know what I mean? Like, you know how you get certain players and they feel like they have to defer one part of the game to make themselves, you know, work within the team.
No, 100%.
This team doesn't feel like that. It feels like each player on this team is individually excelling, but because they are so unique to this system and so unique as players, they're individually excelling and still fitting in. You know what I mean? Yeah. I think that's what I'm saying.
100%. But I think a lot of that is due to the fact that their stars are actually homegrown. Like, they were drafted there, brought through there, and we understood, hey, we're going to build the future around you too. And they held to it.
I hear you taking shots at LA.
But that's but that's what it is. So when you bring somebody in, and then you want to change the culture or change, like, everybody's going to be shaken. Like, the people who are already there, the people who are going to come in after, you're going to continuously be building upon something. But when you stick with something through the good and the bad, because you actually can see the future in it and the potential, and you want to see it come to fruition, then you're going to benefit in moments like this when we're not talking about chemistry issues. Yeah. Because that's what we're really talking about when you're saying everybody knows where they're supposed to be on the court. They understand their rotations. They understand how to talk to people, to have each other back. You're not going to hear about a whole lot of drama or anything like that with the Celtics. That came from the head coach situation. Yeah. Not any of their players. So, no, I think that's a team that knows their identity because they've been told it every single last year in terms of the way they were shaping it. It never really changed. It was just molded to better fit the new roster that they would have for that year. But from the time they came in the league, it was, hey, eventually it's going to be Tatum and Brown. Mm-hmm. From the very moment They touch the floor together, and that's what we've seen through and through since. And since the ascension to Jason Tatum as a superstar, now it's very easy to have guys like a Malcolm Brogdon come in and be like, hey, you know your position, you know your role, you know what you're going to do, because we have a certified number one option, like superstar number one option in Jason Tatum. And then we have a certified one option on most teams in Jaylen Brown. So you're not just going to come onto the team, whether you're going to be drafted, sign in free agency, or acquired by trade, and think that you're going to shake the foundation of what was already set up. There's a hierarchy here in the offensive system. And it's something that since Tatum and Brown have both bought into playing, not just with each other, but with the Celtics as well, it's really hard to kind of break that up or even fluster it, because you have the stars already bought in. You have people like Marcus Smart, who's been there, who's essentially their Boston Draymond. In those kind of situations, if you want to say that the Tatum is the Curry and et cetera, if we're drawing those comparisons. So having a team built like Boston, like shout out Danny Ainge, got to give him the credit for what he started over there. It's supposed to look like this eventually. Right. It just feels really great watching this team, because it still feels like a year too early, where it was like, all right, this is the year where y'all was supposed to really hit. Like Tatum is what, 24? Yeah. Like you have Tatum, you have Jaylen Brown at age 26. You have Jason Tatum at age 24. We have guys in the league that are supposed to be fighting for a chip this year, the Clippers, the Nets. And that's what I mean when I say it's a year or two early. The Celtics essentially took somebody's spot. Because they're the first young boys that really said, all right, now we're up for chips. Yeah. In the last like couple of years running, they've been the closest one. When I say young boys, I mean like somebody who has their best player being like, 27 and under. Like Giannis was like on the borderline of like the younger generation coming in. But he's been the only one to win in the last couple of years outside of the norms of the Currys, KDs, Brons, Kawhis, etc. Right. So giving the Celtics all of that credit, all of that hype, they deserved it. They built it from organic stance, making a really great moves. They've always been, I'm not going to say always been, but in our lifetimes and us watching the NBA, the Celtics have moved with a great basketball purpose. For sure. I can say that, I'm going to talk my trash about the Celtics. I've been a Lakers fan and everything like that. I can't believe we got a pod where I'm just big trash in the Lakers and then big up in the Celtics within a 20-minute time span. But, when you show love for the game, as the Celtics have been doing by producing great basketball, I got to show love back. So I look forward to seeing them in the conference finals this year. I can't necessarily stamp them as a finals type of appearance automatically because, like I said, Boston is there. Not Boston, excuse me. Milwaukee is there in their way. So, yeah, but they're legit. They're legit number one.
I'm going to say it, bro. I think... I mean, I get what you're saying. They're not 1 year away. I think last season losing in the finals made them grow up a lot faster. I think their playoff experience, because they started so young, getting to the Eastern Conference Finals and all that in the third
few years,
and just being around, playing in a lot of meaningful basketball. They accelerated their prime. They accelerated their prime and kind of pushed to it a little quicker than most guys do. Like we normally say year 5, 6, then we can start having questions about, all right, when you're going to start playing in playoff games that matter, when you're going to start trying to win. They've been doing it essentially since 22, 23. Like
Jason Tatum, rookie year, he was in the conference finals.
Like they've been at it. They've been at it this entire time. So because of that, I ain't gonna say it shouldn't be any pressure. But I think they are my pick for getting to the finals. I know I had the Bucks getting there first, but if I could switch, I would switch. I'm not mad
at this pick though.
I would switch because I mean they're showing me something, especially without Robert Williams. They're showing me something that I did not expect. The only question I didn't have is in playoff moments, can Joe Mazzulla make the right adjustments? And that's it. That's really it.
Yeah.
That's what Ami Udoka kind of did down the stretch. He started making some good moves down the stretch to help them kind of get forward in certain games. Now in the finals, they kind of slipped away from that. Don't drop on Steph. That's the rule. Everybody knows that rule. But I don't see why not. I think they learned their lesson, especially Tatum and Brown. Learned their lesson in terms of this is what NBA Finals basketball. We know what playoff basketball looks like.
Yeah,
now this is NBA Finals basketball.
Yeah.
And being that young,
games on the Warriors too.
Being that young, being that athletically gifted that they are, and the way they're clicking right now, and the pieces around them, like you're saying, fitting and knowing roles and responsibilities. I say I could say you can almost book them. You can book them for the NBA Finals.
I'm mad.
And if they see anybody but, I don't know, Golden State, and depending on the health of the Clippers, I think they're walking out with it. I think they're walking out with it.
Yeah, at this point, they see anybody. If they get to the finals, I'm
hard pressed. I'm hard pressed to pick anybody else.
Yeah.
So
I mean, they're the favorites. They should be though. They've earned it.
Yeah. But yeah, we'll pay more attention to Boston. We'll pay more attention to Boston as best as we can. Y'all let us know how y'all think about the Boston Celtics thus far. Let's move on. TK. We're getting top 10. Top 10 so far. We're about a little over a quarter of the season. And so one thing I wanted to start doing, the top 10, and we're going to do this towards the All-Star break when we get halfway, or a little bit past halfway, in terms of top 10 NBA so far. But best players, best performers thus far this season, you got your list.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Got your list.
Mm-hmm.
I was nervous. I'm nervous about my list. You made one list, didn't like it, came back, started making some changes, and you were laughing. The evil laugh we got during this list. I'm kind of curious. But I'll give you my top 10. Top 10 is Giannis at 1, Steph at 2, Luka at 3, Tatum at 4, Durant at 5, Jokic at 6, Book at 7, Ja at 8. These two could be flipped, honestly, in my opinion. Shea at 9, AD at 10, and my honorable mention is Donovan Mitchell. Tied with Trey.
Why can Shea and Ja be flipped?
Why can Shea and Ja be flipped?
Yeah. You had them at what, 7 and 8?
No, I had them at 8, 9. Ja's
9.
8, Shea is 9. I could flip Shea to 8, Ja at 9. I could do that.
But why?
Because I'm a fan. Because I'm a fan. I'm an OKC fan, America. I have biases. And because I'm not an ESPN analyst, I can exercise my biases whenever I feel like. And Shea Gilgeous-Alexander looks like
bias.
a top 5 guard in the NBA.
See, I'm going to tell you where Greg went wrong, right? He said he could exercise his biases, right? But he didn't.
He did not.
Clearly he didn't. Because I exercise my biases. You said that evil laugh. The evil laugh came from me realizing this is my list.
All right, I'm listening.
I can make it look however I want it to look. Like, it's just whatever I say, I'm completely right. So, my number 1, I have Luka.
Okay.
Then I have Steph at number 2. 3, we got Giannis. 4, we got Tatum. 5, we have Shea. So this is how you exercise your bias.
That's how you bias.
That's a bias.
That's how you
That is
bias.
how you bias.
6, we got Jokic. 7, we got Book. 8, we got KD. 9, we got AD. And then 10, we got Morant. So I was curious as to why you said we could just casually flip Ja and Shea, and you said because of bias when they're 4 or 5 spots away from each other on mine. Yeah, well, my honorable mentions are Trae Young and Joel Embiid.
Okay, explain. How do we get Shea at 5? I mean, I know. Give us your algorithm.
Break
Give us
it
the
down.
algorithm.
Yeah.
Give us the algorithm. How
Don't
we get
just
Shea
say
at 5?
because I said so. I get it.
Yeah. I'm listening.
Man, you gotta get credit when credit is due. My man Shea is averaging, man, 31, 4, and 6 off 50% shooting. With the as respectfully as I'm just gonna say their name, Oklahoma City Thunder. And we understand how hard they're tanking. So
supposedly,
allegedly,
tanking,
whatever. So I don't want to sit here and talk about like wins and losses when a situation like this is like, I don't care if he was putting up 40 a game. They're not trying to win meaningful games. Even if it happens from time to time, we know what it is. They want a top lotto pick. But the last 3 games, not the last 3 games, last 5, let me give you 5 games. 33, 31, 32, 30, 31. This is what this man has been doing this entire year. Yeah. Not only am I going to say that yes, he is top 10 in the NBA right now, and I have him at top 5 of him sitting at 5. Yeah. He should be an all-star starter, not just on the roster.
What?
What do you mean what? What does 31, 6, and 4 get you? What do that get you? If that gives me a spot on the bench on an all-star weekend, I might as well go play in the EuroLeague. Like, this is ridiculous. Like, nobody else is doing this. Like, as respectfully, and I'm not. Well, I mean, a couple other people are doing
that's what I'm about to say. Literally 2 other guards in the West are doing this.
Yeah, but just listen. Hear me out. Okay. Hear me out. All right.
And they're above him on the list.
Hear me out. Hear me out, right?
All right.
Just hear me out.
I'm listening.
As of right now, he's currently averaging more points and stuff.
That is facts.
That's true, right?
He's about to do it. He's about to. This is a bias exercising right here. All right, I'm listening. Go for it.
As long as the math checks out.
I just have to throw that out there because this is what we're doing.
Okay.
This is what we're doing. He's currently sitting at 19th on the list for assists. And in PER, I think he's top 5. He's number 5 in PER. I know how Brian might love that stat. But with the only people being ahead of him are guys like Jokic, Doncic, AD, and Antetokounmpo. So 3 guys ahead of your bigs, and the other one's a pseudo big and Luka, point forward big center person. I don't know what he does. Right behind him is Steph Curry, though. But that's my point is I have to immediately go to Steph Curry to argue another guard.
Who you have at number 2?
He has a number 2.
Steph is number 2.
Is number 2.
Is it talking about number 1 point guards?
On your top 10
on your
list.
top 10 list.
You have Steph at 2.
You have to go all the way to your 2.
Yeah. Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah, exactly.
You got Luka 1, Steph 2, and we know they're both starting.
And Luka's, I guess, yes, he's a point. And that's the issue with the thing, because I'm cool with Luka being considered front court as well. We have some lists. ESPN has had some lists when it's like, who's the top point guards in the West? And Luka name be on it. And then they'll ask, who's the top forwards in the West or whatever? And Luka's name be on that list too. So it's one of those things that's up in the air.
It's a positionless
I would prefer, to be completely honest,
have all 3 start.
Yep. Because I can move Luka over to that wing without saying
it's egregious.
Yeah. Without I can make that tweak and say, no, I did this for Shea to start, and nobody look at me crazy, because it's not like there's another forward that's gonna look Doncic in the face and be like, oh, you're starting over me, or you took my spot or something like that. No. And at the end of the day, he's 6'7".
I mean,
if anything, he's taking a guard spot. So
well, Shea's what, 6'6", 6'5"?
He's 6'6", but the size is what I mean.
He has one of the longest wingspans in the league.
I mean the body. The actual
Luka's like 250.
Yeah, I'm about to say Shea's 180. So that's the difference. So I have Shea at 5 on my list, and I think he's deserving of it.
Okay. I can respect it.
Yeah, 100%.
I can respect it. I mean, 5. I think I factored in winning a little bit more.
Yeah, you did.
I factored in winning a little bit more.
Just tell me, how can OKC win?
They can't.
That's my thing.
They can't. I mean, they can. No, they won 10 games because of him.
And that's my point. And the West is separated by how much?
They're 10-13, and they have no business.
We're talking about
They've won more games than the Lakers.
So right now they're sitting at 10-13, bro. And the number 6 spot, the Golden State Warriors. I don't know why I'm doing this as Shea Gilgeous versus versus Steph thing so hard. But the Warriors are sitting at 13-11.
Yep.
What are we talking about? We're talking about winning? Did y'all do this last pod? Y'all sat here and looked me in my face and was like, "Oh, Luka can't be MVP. They ain't win enough or something like that."
I did
when they were separated by like 2 games from first place.
All right, here's the thing though. Here's the thing, and
or like third place.
Top 10 in terms of performing. Shea can reserve a spot at 5 off his performance alone because he looks like he'd be in MVP conversation if they were winning a little bit more. If they were winning a little bit more, he would be in that conversation. I think a lot has to do with the fact of where are these wins coming from? Like who have they beaten? Now, has he shown up in games versus some other? Yeah, like he's shown up versus pretty much everybody. I
was about to say, you don't average 31, 6, and 4 and not show up.
But in terms of schedule, in terms of who they played,
yeah, who they got their wins against, I understand.
It's like, all right,
yeah.
Cool. I mean,
like you beat the Magic, Toronto, the
Minnesota,
Knicks, the Bulls, like, the Wizards.
Yeah, you could
the Clippers back to back early.
Yeah, like you're doing your thing.
And Dallas and OT.
That was a good game.
That was one of the, that's why I had to throw that one in. I was like Dallas and OT. But yeah, they haven't got any staple in Minnesota. Yeah, so they haven't got any staple kind of wins. I don't understand.
I don't think they've beaten a team that we would consider true contenders.
I would say even a conference contender, like conference title game contender.
Especially with the Clippers situation. So
maybe perhaps the Mavs, but that's depending on how much God mode Luka got left in them at the playoffs. So.
Exactly. So I mean, I'm cool with it. I understand because performance-wise, he looks like the guy. He looks like the guy.
He is that dude.
And I think I had Ja higher because I felt like while they're split maybe a couple games. Memphis is 13-9. So yeah, 13-9. So that's a 3 games separation.
Yeah. Memphis is crazy. Memphis is the 4th seed sitting at 13-9, while Oklahoma City Thunder are the 12th seed sitting at 10-13.
So with Ja averaging 28, 6, and 7, he's not short of his performances in terms of what he's done on the floor. I think he's had a couple games where he wasn't necessarily his best self, but he hasn't not shown up this season. He looks just as good as what he's always looked.
No, 100%.
Looks like he's still excelling, still improving as a player. Luka, God mode, don't need to say more.
Yeah.
Steph, God mode, really don't need to say more.
Arguably his best individual season. And mind you, I'm always say 2016. I just have to.
I understand.
This has been going crazy this year.
I understand. So because of that, it's like I have to kind of tear this off. And then I look at everyone else's situation. Kevin Durant's situation should not be lost on us. Like, while it may be self-inflicted because he asked for a trade to Brooklyn, it should not be lost on us.
The fact that he's still KD through all of this.
And what's their record right now?
I think they just broke even.
13-11.
13-11.
Like, should not be lost on that. We're watching him be patient with Ben Simmons as he gets his footing back. We're watching him essentially be silent and wait for Kyrie. And so once he's returned, and he has returned, and during that whole mess, like injuries came back, TJ Warren's back on the court. Kevin Durant has quietly kept things
afloat
like while everything is on fire.
Like how he did quietly kept last year.
Steve Nash fired. Like a lot has happened.
Whoa. That's not a negative. We're not gonna throw that in. It may not be. If anything, that might have helped KD. I'm not gonna sit here.
It might not be a negative as it is.
I know what to say. It's something you got to battle through. Yeah.
Whenever that first chair changes, like you have to adjust to a new guy.
Nah, for sure.
And Kevin Durant has done it. Kevin Durant has done it to some extent. But so being 5 on my list,
on the back, but you're Kevin Durant. This is why I was saying you're the best basketball player for how many years in a row I was saying it. Like, this is what I expect you to do. We should still compliment you, but this is a fish swimming.
No,
You're that dude.
Yeah.
I know who you are. Like, this is what you do. But that's why you're getting included on this list. And honestly, maybe even gotten too low now that we're talking
that's
about
what I'm saying. Like
Now that we're
that's why
talking
I'm
about
kind of like challenging your list because I think you had him what 7, 8.
I had him right above AD or right below AD. One of them. They were like interchangeable.
I think you had him like 7 or 8.
I had him 8.
Yeah. So I'm like, while I think I understand why it's lower because that's what we expect from him. I can't penalize a guy for being what he always is, and that's a top 5 player in the league.
Yeah.
Like, I just can't do that.
Yeah.
And so because of that, I got Nikola Jokic at 6 because he's still more of the same, but he has more help right now.
But that's
with the return of
big
some guys.
one that I think a lot of people will argue against us for.
Why?
Jokic is having another Jokic year, man.
He's having the Jokic year, but other guys have improved. And and here's the thing. Other guys have improved with their supporting cast. Giannis is still Giannis without Chris Middleton, right?
Yeah.
Tatum has improved and his supporting cast has improved.
But like Jamal Murray
Luka has
just got
improved.
back. Michael Porter Jr. It's not like now the Nuggets have depth. I'm not gonna sit here and act like there aren't people that can hoop with the Nuggets.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 guys averaging in double figures right now.
And we're talking
6.
And this is what I mean. We're talking about Jokic.
Okay.
I'm attributing that to him. That's a lot to give, but when you're sitting here and you're averaging
22, 9, and
8,
10.
Yeah, 22, 10, and 9. You're leading the league in PER. You're shooting 82% from the free throw line. That's even a more amazing as well.
This isn't slander that he's at 6, but he's in terms of
But
being
you're doing this at 32 minutes a game too. You're influencing that much out there. This isn't him putting up 40 minutes a game and just doing everything and sweating himself out every night.
True.
He's getting everybody involved at a super efficient clip how he has always been able to. So I still am going to keep him while I listed him. That is the biggest argument I think people are going to see with both of our lists.
Okay.
Is how far Jokic is away from the top.
Top 3?
Yeah, from at least top 3.
Man.
But it's a hell of a year. Like, that's what I'm thinking of.
I could live with him being over KD at 5. I could live with him, but he's not cracking my 4 based off the 4.
I don't think he should crack the 4.
He's not cracking my 4.
I think the 4, I don't care what order you put him in terms
Giannis,
of
Steph, Luka, Tatum,
Giannis, Tatum,
that's it, dog.
That's
sorry.
the 4.
That's the 4.
That's the 4.
And I can debate pretty much any iteration of the 4. Like, I'm cool with any iteration of the 4.
Any. But
Jokic is knocking on that door this season just because those guys have elevated their play so much this season.
Facts.
And that's just the nature of it. That's just the nature of it. And it's hard to penalize a guy for having a good team around him, but I kind of did that with Jokic. Jamal Murray's back. He's playing. He's getting back into him being more of himself. Michael Porter Jr. is being more of himself. Aaron Gordon looks good this season. Bones Highland is balling this season. I mean, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. You got Bruce Brown, Jeff Green. Like, this team.
What did you have Jokic on your list?
6.
Oh, yeah, we both had him at 6. So who you have at 5?
I had KD at 5.
Oh, yeah.
Had KD at 5. KD at 5. Jokic at 6. Book at 7. That's another one people probably
I had Book
debate.
at 7. Nah. The Suns are fraudulent. Let's stop. Like, let's just stop,
Okay.
bro.
All right. I mean, I think I think people debate that too.
If they're fraudulent?
No, not them being
Oh,
fraudulent.
that's not a debate.
D-Book not being higher on this list. I think people would take offense to that. I do.
I think people are a little too sensitive nowadays about everything. D-Book, if anything,
35 and 5
no, if
without
anything,
your starting point guard, like on a team we all assumed he needed to be on for them to be a 1 seed. Like, I assume Chris Paul was necessary.
Yeah. At one point
necessary for a 1 seed.
But now D-Book got it. Yeah, shout out D-Book.
And
Y'all
so
still
because of that, I think
he can sit pretty at 7.
people going to take offense to him being at 7 and not 5.
Why you ain't put him at 5?
Don't judge me. Don't judge me, bro.
Because you don't believe in it. Like, you don't believe in it. It's okay. Because you're saying all the logical steps. D-Book is doing this without the starting Hall of Fame point guard that he needed to help him get to here and here.
Yep.
And they got to the finals together and they're trying to bounce back years later and X, Y, and Z.
Yep.
Paint as pretty of a book moment as you want. The end of the,
Just go like 50 and 3/4.
Yeah, 51.
I
51.
might have to
51.
do some maneuvering. I'm not going to because it's already on wax.
He's on 7. What are you gonna do? Is he better than? Okay, I think he's not. I wouldn't put him over KD
right
or
now better than KD.
No, but KD just had like 47 the other night. Like, what are we gonna do? What are we really gonna do? Is whoever had the last best game?
Okay.
I'm not putting D-Book over Jokic. I am not putting D-Book over Kevin Durant.
All right.
And this is where I would say people could look at me crazy because of the SGA placement at 5.
Right.
But I ain't putting D-Book over SGA on my list. It's my list.
I was going to say something, but once I looked at who they're playing, I'm going to be quiet.
Talking about the Suns?
Yeah. All right. Listen. And I think this proves your point to some extent. But versus Houston, the last game versus Houston, they lost. Unfortunately, they lost by 1. But
yeah, Houston got up against them because Houston ain't beat them in like 4,000 years.
he had 41, 8, and 4.
And lost against Houston. Shout out Jalen Green.
Unfortunately. Versus Chicago, he had 51. Played 3/4, 51. Had 6 assists, 4 boards. Then versus Sacramento, he had 44. 6 steals. God dang, 6 steals. 4 assists, 8 boards. He had 49 versus Utah.
Hey, bro, let's pause, bro. Let's pause. I hear these numbers. I hear these numbers.
They lost some games. I'm gonna be quiet.
So they lost against the Rockets.
Yep.
But let's go through this winning stretch they just had because you didn't place it correctly. You beat the Knicks, the Lakers, the Pistons, the Jazz, the Kings, the Bulls. You beat a whole lot of nobodies in a week and a half. Like, that's what happened. That's why they're at the top of the West.
That's why I said I'm quiet.
That's why I said I'm quiet.
That's why I said I'm quiet. You
like,
got
think
it.
about this.
You got it.
Suns
Leave me alone. Leave me alone.
Suns versus Knicks. Who's the best player on the floor?
Suns versus Knicks. Book.
Okay, Suns versus Lakers. I'll probably go AD.
Okay.
Suns versus Pistons.
Book.
Suns versus Jazz.
Book.
Suns versus Kings.
Book.
Suns versus Bulls.
Book.
Suns versus Rockets.
We used to debate Zach LaVine versus.
We used to debate that. But granted,
got
Zach LaVine got hurt. Came back off. But now it's not close. I'm not even gonna front.
Yeah.
But we just named like 9 players. We said, and I'm not trying to disrespect Devin Booker when I say this, one of my favorite players in the league. But we just came off of like 8 to 9 game stretch. Well, we only had one other player. Well, you even had to halfway think about being better than Book. Book's not top 5.
You got it, bro.
And if Book is top 10, he's at the end of top 10.
You got it.
So that's all I'm saying.
Got it, man.
It's not empty numbers. It's non-meaningful wins.
You got it. We're clipping this one.
Fun times.
Fun times. Yeah. But I can't debate that. I can't debate that. All right, so this is our 10. So we got AD at 10.
I had AD at 9, and then I had Ja at 10.
Ja at 10, okay.
Yeah, I had Ja at 10. It wasn't really
I had AD at 10 because he crept in because of his
the last couple of
games. I'm like, you know what?
I almost had him at 10 too.
I think that was more so kind of like I'm rewarding the guy for it. Maybe the sample size isn't as large as everyone else's, but what he's showing me shows.
But he's still average. I think he's leading the league in rebounds.
13?
He's averaging like 12.7. I think he's leading the league in rebounds. Like, it's still a great sample size to have. He's like top 15 in the league in points per game. He's, of course, over 50% from the field. Gonna be efficient. I think last game against the Bucks, he shot like 60-something% from 3.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think if anything, he moves up. Looking at your list, who keeps this up? Who stays? Who goes? By halfway mark.
Who stays, who goes by halfway?
Halfway. Make a prediction.
All right.
Show some hate. Show some hate.
Book goes.
I'm sick of this dude. At some point, you gotta let Book rock, dog. At some point. I had to concede
I want
it.
people to go
You got
back on
conceded.
other episodes of this
No,
pod years
no.
ago when I was the
What have
only
you
one
said
who was
lately?
a big.
What have you said lately?
The truth. I was saying the truth back then. I'm like, hey man, you know what's crazy? Back then, everybody was like, Jason Tatum this, Jason Tatum that, and I was like, okay, love Jason Tatum, but I was like, Devin Booker, and I specifically said Brandon Ingram, Jason Tatum. They're all kind of in the same wave or tier for me. Now, clearly, I think Jason Tatum has taken that extra step.
Yep.
But I gave him that respect. It's just the truth nowadays, bro. Like, I don't know. As a one option, everybody on this list,
Everybody-
who you take last?
Who do you? Everybody on this list.
Number one option on your team that you
mark.
building.
No, what? Who do
Yeah.
I take to be my
Who you
number
take
one
last?
option?
Yeah. And that's why you said in the future, who's getting kicked off this year? I'm going with who would I take last for the rest of the year as my number one option.
Honestly,
What? Like on book?
honestly,
SGA?
AD
AD? You can go availability?
availability.
That's
Call-
a cop out.
call-
That's a cop out. That's a cop out.
I mean, if that's what we're doing, that's what we're doing. Like, if
I was like, Shea was the only one I would be like, cool. 'Cause
I'm not
he's the
debating
young boy,
Shea. I'm not
but
debating Shea. I mean,
realistically,
this isn't. I mean,
Shay's just
Shea
happy
hasn't-
to be here on this list.
Shea
he
is
should
not just
be happy to be here.
He should be just happy to be here, but he's not, because, like I said last episode, Shea, and I think we kind of finished the pot on this conversation, if I'm correct. Shea was playing like this in the second half of the season last year.
yeah.
And
He had picked it up.
He was going crazy. And I was like, all right, wait a minute. We got one, I think. Came back, started doing it. Oh, so it's more of the same? Oh, this dude figured it out. He's here to stay. Like, he's trying to be one of the best players.
Nah, for sure.
Like, for sure. AD is the only person, to some extent, that hasn't shown the consistency to stay in a top 10 conversation.
That's true. That's true.
And it's not because of talent. It's because of availability. Hate me if you want to, America. The facts are the facts. I'm just speaking the truth.
Devin Booker dropped 70 points and lost. So I'm gonna go with D Book. I don't care how many years ago it was. But he did just break up with the Jenner girl, so he might be straight now. I heard about that.
Find out next time on that.
Find out next time.
Keeping up with the Kardashians? For sure.
Let's not.
For sure.
Let's not, because that's a whole topic we don't want to get into about the Phoenix Suns.
Shout out CP3.
Allegedly.
Yes, sir.
Allegedly.
Wait, let's get out
Like
of here.
a good
Allegedly.
neighbor. We know who was there. Or was that Allstate?
You think he was there?
Oh, no, I don't know if he was there or not.
It is Allstate, but it's still CP3.
That's
no,
Cliff.
State Farm.
The State Farm.
Which one is like a good neighbor? Allstate?
Like a good neighbor is Allstate.
Ah,
No,
what is
it's
State
State
Farm?
Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Oh, Allstate.
yeah.
Hands. Good hands.
Good hand.
Good hands. In your hands.
Which one is CP3?
Probably both on this
State
occasion.
Farm.
Yeah, he's State
Next.
Farm, but like a good neighbor, you're in good hands. All right. I would love to make enough money to live on that block, but I ain't living on CP3 block.
That is a
or
lot.
Derek Fisher block.
That is
Or
a
Tony
lot.
Parker block. It's these point
lot
guards,
of
boy.
point
It's these point guards. Talk about distributing the ball. All right.
Okay.
Get me
They,
out of here.
they dishing the rock,
Hey,
all
cut
right.
the music on. Play the music. We out of here, man.
Hey.
It's the point guards,
All
man.
right.
Point
See y'all,
guards
see y'all
wildin',
next
bro.
Nah,
week.
facts.
Wildin'. Hey, Keith, you think you did it?
See y'all next week on
Keith.
Mine Who's
Picture of Drake and all his homies with CP3.
It's wild.
No, that's a wild
Wild.
photo. That's a wild photo.
Crept down the block.
Hey, yo.
What if it wasn't Drake creeping down the block? What if you talk about Chris?
Chris made that right?
Chris made the
All
right.
right, guys.
In the light?
Let's regret it.
Oh my god!
At the price.
If that's the case, that bar's a whole lot harder.
We're gonna see y'all next week.
If that's the bar, Keith.
I control the audio. Gonna turn this
Hey, y'all,
down.
we appreciate y'all. We love y'all, man. If y'all listening to the show on Spotify, Apple, Google, Stitcher, shout out TK Stitchers. We appreciate y'all. We love y'all. Like the show, rate the show. 5 stars, 4 stars. If you're watching on YouTube, hey, what's up? Hit that sub button, subscribe below. We appreciate y'all. We love y'all. And yeah, we'll be back next time. Stay tuned. Appreciate y'all. As always, Easter Brief the Game. Be safe. We out.
Chris might have did it.
Chris crept down the block.
I would tell you
That bar, hey,
Yeah.
Drake get rap points for me. That's the bar.